Alright, I'm back. I didn't really go very far. Someone pulled up behind me, so I was trying to rush. I just wanted out of their way. I assume they want home. Sometimes it's nice just being able to go wherever you want because you're small. If I'm yelling during these, it's not intentional. I play music, so sometimes I can't tell how loud I am. Sometimes my nose itches. There's a rumor that in the state of Texas, if you're doing over 90, cops can't pursue. Which, I mean, for what I just did, I'd probably get out of it. A lot of the times when you do stupid stuff like that, I'm not saying you can always get away with it. But if you admit to the cop, yeah, I was just being stupid, a lot of times they'll give you a warning and just tell you not to do it again. So that guy has his brights on. Also, if you do have a motorcycle or you're getting one, try to stay on one side. A lot of people don't realize other bikers will pull up next to you in your lane, like within reason. So like they aren't gonna try to pass you in a turn or anything unless they're just that kind of guy, which is not common. But what I'm saying is, if you're cruising, try to stick to the left or right. Now for me, I kind of bounce between them depending on the situation, but I always glance out my peripheral and into my mirror before I do. That guy's speeding. It's a 50, I'm doing 52 and he's flying. But so for different kinds of bikers, they handle situations differently, like riding next to each other. So like Harleys, they aren't like bar to bar, they're slightly off. Like one person's bars will be 2-3 inches behind the other one. That's just how they ride. For crotch rocket, it's like, we'll put 4 of us. We don't care. Most people that ride crotch rockets know what they're doing, that or their bike's wrecked. I mean, as simple as that. Because crotch rockets aren't very forgiving. Neither are Harleys. Let me get that straight. Harleys are heavy. Not saying crotch rockets aren't. They aren't as heavy. Crotch rockets are a lot easier to whiskey throttle. If you don't know what that is, when you hit a bump or something, you accidentally blip the throttle. And for like this bike, since I'm at low RPM, you can't really feel it. Now, if I was up in like 8,000-9,000 RPM, you'd feel it. It would try to rip your hands off the bars. And some Harleys do that too, but Harleys are more made for comfort riding. But if you lean too far and you're going too slow, it's hard to save it. It takes a lot of skill. I'm not saying that you need to learn how to ride before you start riding. Like, get a year or 2 under your belt before you start riding. I'm saying if you do get a bike, try to find one that's forgiving. My first one was a dual sport because it was light, it was very forgiving. It had knobby tires, so you could actually feel it when you start getting close to the edge of the tread pattern. It was a little bit rougher. Like the crotch rockets, you can't. Harleys, you're more likely to scrape a crash bar, and you can pivot one on a crash bar. I've seen it happen. It's not fun. He ended up laying the bike on top of himself, but since he had crash bars, it landed on the crash bar, and he had like a 1/4 inch between the ground and his leg because of the crash bar. So like if you get a Harley or something, I would highly recommend crash bars. For like crotch rockets, I suggest frame sliders. They won't help you if you crash, but they will help protect your bike. Like if I lay mine down right now, my fairings are going to be ripped off. I took my frame sliders off because someone that owned this bike before me really did a number to them. Like the bolts themselves were bent. I found bolts that fit because where mine bolt are also my engine mount. So I found some that fit in there, put those in, tightened them down, and I'm gonna get more or new frame sliders, as well as I can't tell if that person's hand's out of the vehicle, but frame sliders and new bolts to go with them. I just don't know what color I want, because I don't know what color I want to paint my bike. I'm going to get new fairings, and I don't know if I want to do white or black. So, in my opinion, depending on your living, kind of determines it. Like what kind of bike and accessories. So, for like me, mine stays in the yard. I'm not going to go out and buy a $14,000 brand new bike to sit in my yard. Simple as that. I don't have a garage. But if you have a garage, I can see you wanting to get a $14,000 bike. I have a buddy that has a Ducati. It's not the Monster. It's Pegasus or something like that. Really nice bike. It's red. Everything that, like the clutch cover, see-through. It looks good. Now, he won't let anyone ride it, but it's a really nice bike. He keeps it in his garage. I got another buddy, he's got a 06 CBR 1000. He keeps his in a shed, but he also lives way out in the country. So, like, no one ever drives past his house, so if he wanted to, he could leave one in the yard. Where I live, people drive by. I typically have mine not hidden behind stuff. It's in plain sight, but everyone in the neighborhood knows my bike. Most people in Weatherford have seen my bike. I don't let a lot of people ride my bike. So, like, if someone sees it, they're gonna know something's up. My bike's also 100% legal, so it's not like if it gets stolen, I'm never going to get a phone call saying, hey, we found your bike. Most people that steal bikes, they get caught. As simple as that. The ones that don't get caught, don't keep the bike. They sell it. And that's how a lot of them get caught too. So when you're looking at bikes, also go off of where you live. I know that kind of makes it sound different, but so of course you don't want a $14,000 bike if you're living in the middle of the city and you have nowhere to store it. I mean, it's gonna get stolen. But if you live in a mansion and you have 50 acres, why worry about it? I'm not saying you have to get a clapped out crotch rocket or a little Honda Grom that's been stretched and has zip ties all over it. I'm saying don't buy a brand new bike if there's a chance it's going to get stolen, because that's just going to upset you. And then you're going to be without a bike and without money. All because you wanted that really nice one. Now, like my situation, I'm going to build a shop. Once the shop's built, sure, I'll start looking into 2013 R1s and the 701s. That's my plan. Like, I even have a Rebel at the house that I'm probably going to buy a CBR 1000 motor and drop in it. Just because I've never seen it done. I like being unique. I'm also a diehard Honda fan. So, 1985 Honda Rebel with a CBR 1000 motor. Honda gets Honda. So, I say a lot. I lose my train of thought. That's kind of how I pause for a minute. That way I can like regain where I was. This road's actually really forgiving, just so y'all know. So like that turn, I could have gone straight onto gravel. Sure, it's not the best idea, but if I had to, I could. I think not this one. After the next one, the third one is. So 1, 2, 3. I mean, that one's kind of forgiving. If you can't turn quick enough, you can go out a little bit more. But this one's got a guardrail. That's a little embankment. But like this road up here, you can literally go straight. And it leads into a pretty deep neighborhood. That one leads into a deep neighborhood. The road up here on the right does. So like, it doesn't matter if you're riding the same spots over and over. The more you ride, the more experience you're gaining. Think of it like Call of Duty. So sure, playing different game modes will level you up faster. But you're still leveling up just playing Team Deathmatch. And there's nothing wrong with trying to level up a little bit before you start getting into the higher priority spots. I mean, I rode through my neighborhood for a solid week. From the time I got home, about 7 o'clock till about 10 o'clock at night, non-stop riding. The only time I ever left the neighborhood was to fill up. And it wasn't even a quarter mile down the road from my house. But I keep getting off topic. So when it comes to motorcycles and gear, pick it for the make a match. So don't wear a bucket on a crotch rocket or a dual sport. Like, if you're gonna wear a bucket, get a cruiser. Simple as that. And there's a lot of controversy over cruisers, because some cruiser guys think that Harleys are different than a cruiser. And I guess Goldwings are technically adventure bikes. But yeah, I've seen a lot of crotch rockets converted into scramblers. That was sketchy. I got a little close on the edge. But what I'm saying is, like, my helmet is fairly smooth on the front. I have one that's a normal motorcycle helmet. My last bike, since it was dual sport, looked like a dirt bike, so I got a helmet that looked like a dirt bike helmet. It really doesn't make a difference. You can wear whatever you want on whatever. I don't like buckets at all. I think they're stupid and pointless. I literally had a buddy, his popped off when he wrecked. Mine, on the other hand, won't pop off if I wreck. So I mean, in my opinion, I've seen people ride with the normal helmet. I call them crotch rocket helmets just because that's who you see wearing them the most, is people on crotch rockets, or sport bikes, super bike, whatever you want to call them. But they wear them the most, so I kind of say they're theirs. I've seen people on every kind of bike wear them, from Honda Groms all the way up to Harleys and everything else. I don't like buckets. I try to avoid having sharp objects on my bike. I know a lot of people like the clutch lever and brake lever, that they're like little spikes, and the spikes on the front of their bike. But you also have to think about, if you do go down, you can't control what direction you're going. So you may slide directly into those. So I try to eliminate the amount of problems I could have if I do go down. So that moon's pretty. I don't know if y'all can get a good view of it. And if you're gonna ride at night, you can ride in, well, of course I wouldn't ride through Dallas at night. Fort Worth maybe, but like if you got a small town close to you, so like Weatherford, Mineral Wells, I mean, Keller's pretty nice. It's not too populated at night. You can ride through there at night if you're learning how to ride. There's a lot of street lights and stuff in the city. I would also suggest if you're gonna have to travel there, hop on the highway. It's not, I understand that scares a lot of people. I've never been scared of the highway. Even when I got my driver's license, never scared of it. My first bike, never scared of it. But I do understand why it could be scary. So, it is nighttime. There's going to be a lot less people on the road. You're going to have to deal with a lot less people. Take it easy, go cautious, stay in the right lane. Drag your rear brake if you have to, just a little. Just like little taps, that way it stays lit up. That way you're more likely to be seen, especially if people are street racing and they see a red light. They're going to be like, oh, what's that? And try to avoid it because they don't know what it is. Like, it's also nice riding at night because like I can tell no one's coming around that turn right now. So it makes it a little bit easier when you're learning how to lean a little bit more. Not saying that you should be leaning hard, but I think this is where I'm in my video. Seriously, if any of y'all have questions, drop them down in the comments. I'll post both those channels I was talking about. View them, look at what they have to offer. If you just want to see normal riding, I'll throw up Grommy Bear. He's actually a really good guy to watch. He's pretty informative. Not as much as the other two, but he gives you a better idea what it's like doing like group rides and stuff like that. But I'll see y'all next time.